Hi, I'm Allen Klein, and I'm the author of The Awe Factor. And I know I'm Allen Klein because it says so right on the cover. And it also has Jack Canfield's forward and fabulous testimony saying this landmark book will help you discover the everyday magical moments in your life. That's exactly what it does and exactly what I want to talk to you about today. So, I'm the author of many books. My first book was The Healing Power of Humor. And people ask me, why did I write this book? Why did I write my other books? And just let me share three of them and why I write books. It's always because I have a passion. Healing Power of Humor, I wrote after my wife died of a rare liver disease when she was 34. It was a very difficult time, but she had a great sense of humor. And I wanted to share with the world. I had a passion to share with the world how humor could help us rise above any situation. So that's when I wrote The Healing Power of Humor. Another book I wrote titled You Can't Ruin My Day. I wrote after I was going to the gym one Saturday. I was really happy. I was singing and I wasn't paying attention to the speeding limit. So I was being pulled over for a speeding ticket. Got to the gym. I was still happy. I was still singing. And my fellow gym mate said, Alan, how can you still be happy? You just got a speeding ticket. And out of my mouth came, I'm not going to let that policeman or that ticket ruin my day. And I realize how often do we let other people or other things ruin our day, and we don't have to do that. And so I wanted to share some ways that I do that and that I've researched of how to not let anything or anyone ruin your day. And the most current book, the book I want to talk to you about today, The Awe Factor, how a little bit of wonder can make a big difference in your life, came to me because I realize as I'm getting older, all of the incredible things that have just wowed me in my life, things I never expected to happen, things that just knock my socks off. And so I start putting that together and I start doing research into awe and wonder and the benefits, because it has new scientific benefits that are being discovered. And I'll share some of those with you about awe and wonder. Before I do that, I do want to thank Boulder Bookstore for hosting me in this little segment. I really appreciate it. And any of my books I mentioned or any others, they can certainly get for you, particularly the new one, The Awe Factor. So what is awe? Why is it important? And how do you get more of it in your life? That's exactly what I have in the book. So what is awe? Well, depends on who you ask, where you look. If you go to the dictionary, it says that awe is reverence mixed with fear and wonder. And when I was doing the research, I thought fear and awe didn't quite fit together. And then I remember when I was a child and there'd be lightning and thunder out and I would hide under the blankets because the thunder really made me scared. I was fearful of it. And yet the lightning could be incredible to look at. The designs, the power of it is really awesome. So there, yes, there was fear and there was wonder together. Now, if you ask researchers what awe is, this is the definition. I'll read it to you because I want to get it right because they're researchers and, you know, they're accurate usually. So they said awe is the feeling we get in the presence of something vast that challenges our understanding of the world. So if you think of like looking at the Grand Canyon, your first time you've seen that, it's certainly so vast that it like puts you in a different kind of frame of mind. And you've got to think about your uh, position, your who you are in the world in comparison to that vastness. But I have a simpler, I think, Allen Klein definition of awe. And that is when something wows us, when something knocks our socks off, when something, we exclaim, oh my God. Often God and awe are connected. Or when we can't explain when things happen, like I'm walking on top of a mountain at Vernal Falls, Vernal Falls in Yosemite, and I'm going up the mountain. Someone's coming down. He turns to me and he goes, Alan? And I look at him. I don't quite recognize him. And he reminds me that when I was a scenic designer in summer stock, he was one of my apprentices. And that was like 35, 40 years ago. What an amazing moment. I mean, how could that have happened that just at that right moment, I was going up the pathway, the hill, and he was coming down? 10 seconds later, that may not have happened. 10 seconds earlier, it may not have happened. So for me, that's also an awe moment. When you get goosebumps, you see something, when you get overwhelmed with something, often that is an awe moment. So why is awe important? Well, the studies, and this studies are probably 8 or so years old, and now new ones. I'll tell you about one that recently came out, but they show that awe can make us happier, satisfied more with life, um, increases our generosity, decreases stress levels, and connects us to other people. I remember when I was vacationing in Hawaii, and often people go to the beach at sunset to see what's often, as the sun is setting on the horizon, a green flash of light. Often you don't see it anywhere in the world. Certain places you do. Hawaii is one of them. And so it connected to us because if there was a green flash of light that day, everyone would like connect with each other and you would start chatting with perfect strangers. Have you ever seen this before? Um, when was the last time? Is this your first time? Has it been the same as last time if you did see it? And even if you was not a green flash, people would still talk, oh, not one tonight. Well, maybe tomorrow night, oh, I saw one 2 weeks ago. I saw one yesterday. People would connect. So awe can help us connect. And one of the biggest generators of awe is nature, to get out in nature. And I'll talk about that study in a moment. But what the researchers are saying, and here's a tip, you do not have to even go in nature, just have a photo or write something about an awe moment that you had in the past. So like I have a photo near my desk of flowers from my garden. And I remember the first time I saw them just by looking at this, and I get a little bit of that awe feeling when I do. So a most recent study came out last September. It was in the journal called Emotions. Awe is an emotion. And they took two groups of people, 26 people each. Each of the group was in their 60s, 70s, and 80s. So these were older people. And they told the group the same thing except for one item. So one group, they said, okay, I want you to go for a walk. Just go out for a walk once a week for 15 minutes and do that for 8 weeks. And they give them some things to do. And the other group, same exact instructions, except here they added the intention of finding something that awed them. And they also told them to take a selfie and to know what it was about the thing that awed them. And what they found after the 8 weeks was the group that found the awe was told to have an intention of finding awe. They did. And they said they were happy, happier than the other group, that they focused more on positive emotions, where the other group, for instance, one person said they'd focus on negative emotions. And one person said, well, on my walk, she said, I kept thinking about that vacation I'm going to be taking in a few days and realize I'm not packed yet and that I have to go and buy stuff and I'm running out of time and I don't know when I'm going to do this. So they were thinking more of negative things than the people on the walk that thought of positive things. So another tip, when you go out on your walk, have an intention of finding something that awes you, and chances are you will find it, and maybe even take a photo of it. Next time you're out, take a photo of that thing that awes you, and then look at them from time to time, compare them, because as I said with the photo of nature, that could bring back that awe feeling you got at the beginning. So what I found in doing my research on awe was lots of stories from my life. I collected stories from other people, and they're all in the book. It's my favorite part of the book, the middle section. And so I want to read to you a couple of those. One of them is from my mom. And she was in her 80s when she took her first airline flight. And she said, or rather, I wrote, my mom took her first flight when she was 82. For years, I tried to get her to fly, but nothing I did or said would get her off the ground. Then one day she won a round trip airline ticket. So finally, she got on a plane. I met her at the airport as she deplaned and anxiously asked her how she enjoyed the trip. Even though she was far from being a youngster, she experienced something that was not unlike the awesome moment I had watching my cousin take off in a plane when I was younger. She proclaimed, "Oh, it was wonderful." She said, "I got to see the tops of the clouds." How often, unless we're up there flying, do we see the tops of the clouds? And I know I've flown a lot, and some of the shapes, the colors when the sun is setting or rising, the rainbow you might see after a rain is truly, truly amazing. So one other tip I want to give you, or actually, I'm sorry, story I want to tell you is related to this book because it's how I found this publisher. I had a number of books published by Random House, and then they closed that division. They were trying to save money. Even though the books were doing really well, they had sold over 400,000 copies. They still closed the division. I got the rights back, and I tried to sell them to another publisher. I had no luck for a year and a half. And I believe when you're struggling, you may be putting out negative energy. So I stopped struggling and I wrote this card. The perfect publisher will find me. And I just put that above my computer and I looked at it every single day. About 3 months later, I went to a meeting of writers and publicists, people who publicize authors' books. I sat down on the aisle. A man next to me was turned around talking to two women who said they have a very successful publishing company, but they're looking for uplifting, motivational, inspiration books to open a new division. I turned around to them. I said, I have 7 or 8 books that were very successful, no longer published. And they handed me their card and they said, send us your books. This was the first awe moment. I looked at their card and their address was about 3, 4 blocks from where I lived. So I took the books to them the next day. And during the following years, they did publish several of the books. They got too big for the little office, so they opened a bigger office. They had a big party, and they invited me. I walk in the door, and this woman comes right up to me. And she says, Alan, I'm really glad with you that you're with us at this company. She said, I own this company. She said, you don't know me because I live in London. She said, but I know you. And I said, how do you know me? You don't look familiar. She said, for 12 years, I lived across the street from you and I'd see you walk your dog every single day. Another awe moment. And the perfect publisher found me. The editors with the new company, which published this book. And so just that moment um, just had me help me actually get a number of books published. Certainly an all moment in my life. So how do you get more on your life? 3 words, I think: stop, look, and listen. I did a exercise once. I was on a retreat and they gave us this little raisin and we looked at it for 10, 15 minutes and then we slowly ate it for another 10, 15 minutes. And I realized that every raisin in that group was totally different. Stop, look, and taste the world, your food. How often we just gulp down food. The other thing is look at a flower. Flowers are amazing. Um, I was in Amsterdam a few years ago, and I went to a park that had 7 million tulips. Just amazing. And the third thing is listen. Stop, look, and listen. Sounds around us are also amazing. I was in the shower the other day and I thought, I'm going to stop and listen to the shower. And I realized the water running down sounded just like a waterfalls I experienced in Hawaii. The other thing is I tell people, find more awe in your life, get lost. I know it sounds silly, but get lost. I know when I'm in Europe and I'm in a strange city, I walk around in streets I've never been to before. Could even do that in my own city, your own city if you want. And you start to experience things you've never seen. You open your eyes like a child would, and you start to experience, you allow the awe moments to come in because you're not so used to, you're not in a rut, which we sometimes get in and don't see the awe that's all around us. One other simple last thing is get a 3x5 card, put the letter A on it, carry it in your pocket or your purse. Whenever you reach in for something in your pocket or your purse and you feel this card, just stop, look, and listen for anything that's awe around you. So, last thing is I want to first thank Boulder Books again for allowing me to talk about hopefully you got a couple of tips. There's a lot more in the book, a lot more incredible stories. But thank you, Boulder Books Store, for inviting me to do this. And I want to end by reading the quote that opens the book because I think it's how we need to live our life. And it's by Rabbi Abraham Hosea Herschel. He said, Our goal should be to live life in radical amazement. Radical amazement. Give up, get up in the morning and look at the world in a way that takes nothing for granted. Everything is phenomenon. Everything is incredible. Never treat life casually. Thank you.